Most Bible prophecy preachers and teachers, Tom, they focus on Ezekiel 38 and 39 and Armageddon. Some say they're the same, some say they're not. However, I believe that there's a huge war occurring before Ezekiel 38 and 39, and it is Psalm 83. And also, my book, As America Has Done to Israel, the title, As America Has Done to Israel, comes from the tiny, well, I don't mean physical size, but book numbers-wise, Prophet Obadiah. It's the smallest book in the Bible. And verse 15 says, for the day of the Lord, this is why this book is so important. For the day of the Lord is near upon all heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall be upon thine own head. So that's where I got the title, As America Has Done to Israel. And when you put Obadiah together and you overlap, you put them right over each other, Psalm 83 and Obadiah, you get the clear picture of what's going to happen in this first war. So do I believe Israel is going to start the war? Well, it depends upon how you define starting it. I mean, if Iran has or just about to have nuclear weapons, and there is no doubt, because others beside Ahmadinejad talked about destroying Israel, their former president Rafsanjani boldly proclaimed as soon as Iran has 2 nuclear weapons and the ability to deliver them, they're going to destroy Israel. I mean,
now, I want to ask you something. You just mentioned Obadiah, and I want to follow up with a question about Obadiah. Also, we interviewed Shane Connor last week or week before. Shane Connor, he's the CEO of KI4U. He's the guy that provides most of the potassium iodide to the U.S. government to protect, basically our thyroids in case the United States is attacked by a nuclear weapon. And when I was surprised when we asked Shane Connor about this whole threat right now we're seeing from Homeland Security and all these different federal agencies reporting on the threat against homegrown terrorism here in the United States. I asked him specifically, what is the real threat? What is the real potential for a weapon of mass destruction to be used against the United States here on American soil? He was actually surprised. He said that he was surprised that we have not as yet had the detonation. And he was talking about a major weapon, not just a dirty bomb, but a major weapon of mass destruction, a nuclear detonation by terrorists on American soil. He was surprised that it had not yet happened, and he expected it to happen imminently. It could happen at any moment. So I was kind of taken back by that because Shane, I've known him. He's a very level-headed guy. He doesn't make outlandish statements, but he is an expert in what he does. And I know that privately he sees this as possibly one of the catalysts that could launch the world into some kind of chaotic situation in which, of course, Armageddon then could be introduced in the Middle East. So first of all, what do you make of Shane's feelings about that? And then I want to ask you about Obadiah, how this relates to America, and what's Obadiah describing?
Yeah, you see, I agree. If the Muslims want to take Israel out, because Israel is the little Satan, they definitely want to take us out because we're the big Satan. I have spoken to literally thousands of Muslims. I've debated some of their top Muslim apologists, and they feel, this is numerous ones that I've spoken to that I was able to kind of get them to speak out. They feel the only force on earth that's preventing Islam from taking over is the United States. They feel, the Muslims feel that if America falls today, next week Israel will go. Now, of course, we know the God of Israel is behind Israel, but that's what their feeling is. So the United States is like their target. Muslims have told me that Europe is theirs, that Europe is a rotten fruit that is going to just fall off the tree, and that if it isn't next year, 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, Islam is going to completely taken over Europe, that oil is given to them by Allah to take over the world. So yeah, the United States, they feel if they take us out, there'll be nothing standing in the way for Islam to conquer the world. So I agree with with the person that you interviewed with. If they can get the bomb in here, they definitely will.
Okay, well, I took you a little bit off track because you had mentioned Obadiah's prophecy. I wanted to ask you how it related to America today. What war is Obadiah describing?
Okay, Obadiah is the first war, and I go into, again, for your listeners, in my book, As America Was Done to Israel, I go into great detail, and also the DVD, America in the Day of the Lord. Obadiah is talking about the war that precedes Ezekiel 38 and 39, and that is Psalm 83. So for your viewers, read Psalm 83 and Obadiah together, and you get the big picture. In verse 18 of Obadiah, it talks about an all-out war between the house of Jacob and Joseph, which is going to be a flame and a fire, and the house of Esau, which is going to be stubble. The house of Esau today is the Palestinians. And it says that none of them are going to survive, that the Palestinians are literally, to a man, going to be either all killed or eliminated from Israel. This is an all-out war. And then this war, it goes on to say, in verse 19, and they of the south, that means the Jews in the south, shall possess the Mount of Esau. Now the Mount of Esau is in Jordan. And they of the plain, and they of the plain of the Philistines. The plain of the Philistines is Gaza. So we see Israel's border expanding not all the way into Jordan, but a certain distance in. We see Gaza, and it talks about the Negev, and the Negev now, a good portion of the Negev is under the control of Egypt. So Israel is going to expand probably back down to the Suez Canal. And it says, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim and the fields of Samaria. Now, Ephraim and Samaria is geographically the same. It's just emphasizing. That today is the West Bank. So Obadiah says, as a result of this all-out war with the Palestinians, Israel is also going to take the West Bank, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead. Now, if you get a good map, a biblical map that shows you the land that was granted to Benjamin, it's north of Jerusalem, and north of Jerusalem, there, if you go east across the Jordan River, you go into what the Bible calls Gilead, and that's Jordan. And according to the Obadiah, as a result of this battle, Israel is going to move into Jordan. So that's why I'm saying Jordan is going to disappear. And it says, even unto Zarephath, in verse 20, it says, in the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zarephath. Now the Canaanites in Zarephath is Lebanon. And Zarephath today is about, 20 miles south of Beirut, and it's in the heart of what Hezbollah is. The Hezbollah is in southern Lebanon, and Zarephath is a physical location today in Lebanon. And the Bible specifically says that Lebanon is going to not exist here, you can see it, and that Israel's border is going to encompass all of Hezbollah. And then it says the captivity of Jerusalem, which is Sepharad. Now, Sepharad is the foundation word for what we get Sephardic, and that's the Jews from Spain. So the prophet here is saying the Jews that are in Europe, which would be back then in Obadiah's day, if you would describe Europe, it would be Sephardic or Sepharad, shall come, and they're going to possess the cities of the south. So there's a huge, I believe this war is going to stimulate and cause worldwide anti-Semitism, and the Jews are going to leave Europe. They'll probably leave America. They'll leave Central and South America, and huge numbers are going back to Israel. Now, yes, Israel's borders are going to dramatically expand as a result of this war, but Lebanon is disappearing. I didn't go into Isaiah 17 with Syria. With Damascus is going to cease to exist. Syria is going to cease to exist. So Israel will probably expand up into Syria. If Israel is going to take the whole Negev, that means that there's war with Egypt, and then Jordan is going to cease to exist as a nation. So this war that we're